YouTube a moment to get started here. If you can see this, post a comment, let me know where you're from. If you have any questions, I will do my best as usual to go back and answer those. I will keep my eye on the chat. I'll give a moment for YouTube still. I think we're going. All right, I am Drew Badger, the founder of EnglishAnyone.com and the English Fluency Guide. Welcome to another live video here on YouTube. Let's erase the board and get started. So this video is going to be, I don't want to get angry at learners, but if I can do everything I can possible to help people learn and they still make this one mistake, they're not going to get fluent. So I really want to talk about this. It's something for over 20 years I've been getting people fluent, and just seeing people make this same mistake even as I try to explain, like, please don't do this. This is the one thing you have control over. Sometimes it's hard to get good lessons, or maybe you don't know what exactly you should be learning. But even if you get good lessons, this is the one thing that really, if you make this mistake, it's going to really stop you from expressing yourself. So we'll get started right now. And this should be actually a pretty short video, but I will stay and answer questions as usual if people have them. All right, so look at people. Nice to see people arguing over who's first in the comments. But glad to see everybody there. Again, let me know if you have any questions, and I will do my best to go through this. But this video is really for people who want to speak fluently. If you just want to understand movies and TV shows, this will probably not be so important for you, so you don't have to watch it. But if you want to speak, you want to express yourself without thinking and translating, then please watch the video. All right. Pardon me. So again, as I said earlier, I've been teaching for over 20 years, and this is the one thing I still see people continuing to make mistakes about. And this, I'll just tell it right at the beginning, it's not like a big secret. Really, the problem is that people think they know English very well, but they actually don't know it well enough to speak. So this is the biggest problem I see people making. There could be lots of mistakes about learning that people might make about learning particular information, but typically, if I can draw like a kind of basic diagram about how this works, and I've talked about this on the channel many times, but we do get lots of new people coming to the channel, and especially people wanting to know more about how to speak fluently, which is the whole point of what we do. Basically, there are different levels of understanding. So if you can understand what I'm saying right now, then you probably have a good level of understanding. But if you don't yet have the level of understanding that allows you to speak, then it means there's still some kind of doubt there. So I'm going to give my basic triangle example here with 0% understanding over here, 100% understanding up here, because you either you understand English well enough to speak, or you have doubts or something like that that stops you from expressing yourself. So that's the basic idea. And as you learn more, a lot of people get to this point here where they know a lot of English, but they still don't know well enough, or they still have some kind of doubts that stop them from speaking. So it's very easy for them to listen to me, especially if I'm speaking clearly, or other people, maybe other teachers, or even some native content. You can watch that. But you still have trouble actually expressing yourself, because when it's your turn to speak, then you have to think about things and plan, and maybe you worry about one rule versus another rule or something like that, or if some grammar or your pronunciation, whatever it is. But there can be lots of issues that stop you from expressing yourself. So again, when I talk with people, and they typically, the people typically that I help, they know a lot of English, but they still have trouble expressing themselves because of this problem. So they will learn something until they understand it when people are using it, but they don't know it well enough to actually communicate. Okay? So this is the problem right here. And this is something I struggled with when I was first trying to learn Japanese and trying to understand why I was learning but not speaking. And I noticed that I still, even if I could understand something when another person spoke, so I might listen to some native speakers and understand what they're saying, I would still have lots of doubt that would stop me from speaking, okay? So if you're in this position and you continue to learn more, but you don't actually know that information well enough, like if you continue to learn more words, but you don't really feel confident enough about saying those things, then this is the #1 mistake you are making. All right. Now, I do my best as a teacher. Really, my goal is to make the language understandable and try to make sure that people get all the information they can to learn, and they can understand things very easily. So if you're either learning with me or you're learning by yourself, the first step is actually collecting and organizing the information you need to learn. So figuring out what you need to learn, again, either getting it from someone like me or actually just finding this information yourself. But the second part and the most important part here is really making sure you understand that information well enough. It's quite easy for most people to just find lots of information. You go on YouTube right here. There's plenty of information about learning English if you want to learn about how to learn. And then there's also lots of content that's just in English. So you could have native speakers at different levels. So you might be at a level where you can understand children, but maybe not adults, or maybe not some technical information. But all of the information is there. The difficult part is more finding and organizing the information so you know what to learn. Because you can learn something and you can spend 20 minutes or an hour or even many years learning lots of content, but not really feel very confident about using it, like not feeling confident that you can say that information if you don't really understand it without a doubt, okay? So the point is not just to learn information so you want to speak, like let's just draw a line like here, and we'll just say like TV shows, movies, and this line over here is speech. So if you know the information well enough to watch TV shows and movies, if you know the language well enough to watch TV shows and movies, that's great. And if you don't care about speaking, then just stop. Continue to learn more words and vocabulary. You don't need to worry about knowing the vocabulary very well because you're not speaking. It doesn't matter. But if your goal is not just to understand movies and TV shows, but to get to the point where you can actually speak, that's where you actually need to spend more time erasing all the doubt that stops you from expressing yourself, okay? So let me give you a quick, before I go back and look at chat and start answering some questions here, I just wanted to make, again, a very quick video so people can understand what the real problem is. Again, it's not just understanding the video, it's not understanding the language or vocabulary. The point is how well you understand the information, okay? So it could be grammar or vocabulary, pronunciation, whatever that is. So if you're here, if you can understand me or you can understand TV shows and you're still not at the point where you can speak, here are some things you can do to eliminate the doubt, all right? So to move your level of understanding up to 100% where you've eliminated all of the doubt, and again, we do this for individual words and phrases as we understand them better. So here's what you can do very simply. It's almost like a checklist as you're hearing different things. So if you can hear me, like let's say, what's a phrase I could use? Let's just say now or never. Now or never. This is just a random phrase I thought of. Now or never. So you're going to do something immediately or you will never do it. That's the basic idea. So to do something now or never. So this is a phrase that you might hear from a teacher. Maybe you understand the meaning of it. And so if someone is using it in a movie or TV show, maybe you would understand that phrase. If someone says, well, you have to do something, you have to make this choice, we have to take some kind of action now or never, that kind of thing, you have to do something right now or not have the chance to do it at all. So that's what this expression means. But let's say you hear it from another native speaker. So we don't want to just hear this from one person, we want to hear other people using this as well. So if you hear other people using the same expression, like someone says now or never, now or never, now or never, now or never, now or never. So hearing another person say it is going to make us feel a little bit more confident and move the amount of doubt we have. It's going to erase more doubt so that we feel more confident. With each person we hear using that, we will feel more confident about how to say that, or in what context we might say that thing, or maybe hearing, even just being able to recognize and understand someone else if their speech is not very clear. So we want to hear the phrase in different contexts, at different speeds, at different times, like maybe it's in a particular context in one movie, but someone is using it in a different way in another situation. The point is to hear something, not just to understand it, but to be able to know it so well that you feel confident about saying that thing, all right? So the mistake that a lot of people make who want to speak, again, this is not a problem if you don't care about speaking. If you just enjoy watching content like movies and TV shows and you don't care about speaking, great. You don't need to spend any time trying to do this extra learning and really trying to understand things and really trying to eliminate the doubt, because it doesn't matter if you are speaking or not. You don't speak. But for the people who do want to speak, you really need to get more examples of this. Youglish is a good place to do this. Youglish, I think youglish.com. But this is where you can listen to different versions of people saying the same thing. So a kind of naturally varied review. This is what I call hearing different phrases or things in different ways. That's one kind of naturally varied review. So a checklist, when you hear something, when people are, maybe again, you understand something, you can read it in a textbook, but you don't hear it very well when natives are saying that thing, then that means you need more examples just to feel more confident that you can understand how it is, or what the pronunciation is, or when you should use that expression. Okay, so again, a very simple idea, but this is right here, for the people who want to speak, this is the #1 mistake I see people making. And so when I say, hey, like you need to do this, and people will say, hey, I already know that information. I say, well, how well do you know it? Do you know it well enough to use it in conversations, or do you not? So either it's really just yes or no. Like, can you say this? Do you feel confident saying something in conversations, or not? It's actually pretty simple. Okay, so I'll go back and answer questions. Hopefully this idea should be quite simple, and it doesn't really take a lot of understanding to just see like, oh, okay, you can get to the point where you understand movies and TV shows, but speaking is going to require more confidence in your vocabulary or pronunciation or grammar or whatever, okay? So if you are uncertain about something, then you should spend more time getting certainty about this. But the good news about all of this is that you don't need to spend time speaking with people in order to improve this skill. So in order to erase doubt, you really just need to get more examples, but in different contexts. And so not just repeating something, not just listening to one person say something again and again. The point is, yeah, really feeling confident and being prepared for the unpredictability of real communication. So people are going to sound different in real communication. They are going to have different pronunciation, or they might use different expressions. So another thing you might learn is like another way to express this same thing. When natives are learning vocabulary like this, they might learn something like, instead, shit or get shit or get off the pot. Shit or get off the pot. So this is another similar expression. It's a similar thing that people might use in a situation like this, where, look, you need to make a choice, or you're just gonna lose that opportunity right now, like we have to do this thing now, or we're not going to do it. So it's now or never, now or never. Or so same kind of thing, like shit or get off the pot. So like the pot being the toilet. So either do something now, finish that thing, or get up, you know, move out of the way, whatever. So in a real situation, natives are learning lots of expressions about, you know, a particular situation, and they learn different ways of saying that, okay? So this is, again, a kind of checklist for whether you're prepared for not only understanding particular words and phrases, but also can you understand what people are talking about in a situation. So if you understand a situation, there might be different ways natives are communicating in that situation, okay? So they might use one expression or use something else. So the more time you spend with natives in different situations, the better your English will become. You will feel much more confident because you will eliminate the doubt the same way natives do, all right? So remember, you don't have to spend time speaking to do this, but you should strategically get lots of good examples of how native speakers are communicating. So you know in this situation, people might say these different things and their pronunciation might be different. You know, if you can get that, you can structure that easily, whether you're learning by yourself or with me. This is what we do in Fluent for Life when we really want to make sure that people understand exactly how to prepare for real communication. So real communication is not like school where the teacher says one thing and you repeat or you respond back with a specific reply. Like teacher says, hello, how are you? And you say, I'm fine, thank you. It might be completely different in a real conversation. So someone says, hey, how's it going? And you say, I'm okay, or I've been better. I'm all right, how's the family? So again, it's not just here's a particular thing in a textbook and here's how you respond to that. This is how you learn for a test, but if you want to prepare for the unpredictability of real communication, this is how you do it. All right, so if you feel like you know a lot, you can understand movies and TV shows, or even if you're not at that level yet, it's okay, but the point is to get more examples of things, and that's what really helps you speak. All right, I wanted to keep this short, so let me go back and answer questions people might have. I'll just go back and look through the chat, and look at that, right as like a siren is coming through here. All right, so Paris and Arturo arguing over there. Lewis says, I drew. All right, let's see. Yes, pardon the siren in the background. Dick says, Drew, finally I catch your live chat from Venezuela. Love your methodology. Glad to hear it. Yep, all I'm really doing is helping people understand the language like a native speaker. If you remove the doubt that stops you from speaking, you will speak. That's really when people talk about methodology, that's it. So I actually do a number of things, though a few different things to help people learn, but the basic idea is if I can eliminate your doubt, you will start speaking. Sabir says, I can speak, but I don't like Americans, which is normal, but how can I improve that? If you don't like Americans, like all of them, do you like me? I'm an American. If you don't like me either, well, you know, I don't know what to do about that, but I suppose spending some time with a few Americans, I'm sure, you know, there are going to be some people you don't like and some people you do. That's life. Arturo says, thanks for your time, teacher. It's my pleasure. Bias says, hey, Drew, could you please make the audio a bit louder? It's the same audio level it always is. Arturo says, I think you have a problem because the audio is okay. Yes. Said is back. Happy to see you, to be here with you. Glad to hear it. And Ackland says, what up? What's up with you? I don't sound like Americans. I don't know what that means. Miriam says, I got your course a couple of months ago and it's amazing. Awesome. If you know other people who would enjoy the program, do click on the like button, certainly, but do recommend the program to other people who might also be interested. And if you're also interested in learning more, instead of you taking the time to try to find all the information, organize it. If you just want me to get you fluent automatically, guaranteed, this is what we do in Fluent for Life. I erase the doubt that stops you from speaking and you start communicating fluently. It's pretty simple. When you get rid of the fear, then nothing stops you from speaking. Let's see. So Aglin says, Sabir, I don't like Americans. You said we will love yourself first. People says that to other people. There you go. Yes, let's talk about more love for each other. All right, it looks like you guys are talking with each other over there. Let's see. And Echo says he lives in a, oh, okay. He lives in Australia, living in Australia now or never. There you go. Hello, this is the first time I see you live. Well, welcome, Arula. Let's see, Match says, sometimes I have a difficulty to pronounce a word. Yeah, so if you know a word, like let's say I know how to say, I don't know, I could read that and I understand what it means, but I don't know how to pronounce it well. I don't feel confident about it. So if someone else says the word or you see it written in a book, you would think, oh, okay, I'm maybe at this level here. but I have doubt about how to pronounce something. So you would say, like, oh, I should probably get more examples of people saying this or hearing, other people, again, use the door, this word door, that pronunciation door. So if I hear that person saying it, but I also hear other people saying it as well, it will help me remember how to pronounce it, but it will always make me, also make me feel confident because I'm eliminating the doubt, all right? So if you feel doubt, you don't know how to pronounce a particular word, then this is going to stop you from speaking. All right, so again, whatever the doubt is, it could be a doubt about vocabulary or pronunciation or grammar, whatever that thing is, that's the thing that will stop you from speaking. All right, so if you'd like to learn more about that, like I gave the example before of Youglish, of hearing particular words, or you can click on the link in the description below this video to get Frederick. I'll put the name down here again if that fits up there. So Frederick is the app I designed and built to make sure people can understand pronunciation, but also learn how pronunciation works. So the point is not just to teach you individual words, but to help you understand and build the understanding of pronunciation like natives have. All right, so if you learn these things step by step, then you really come to understand. You see a new word, you just know how to pronounce it. All right, so you see a new word, oh, I'm pretty confident I would know how to pronounce that. And if you combine that with hearing lots of examples of other natives saying things, you really will feel much more confident about pronouncing things, and you will feel more confident about speaking. Let's see. Okay. Leonardo is back. Just want to say knowledge. Look at that. All right, Rula says, I'm from Lebanon, but I live in Canada since 1 year. Or you would say, I have lived in Canada for 1 year. Or you could say, I lived in Canada since, a particular time, like since 2010 or whenever that is. I can describe myself and talk, but I feel when I talk alone, it is better than when I talked with someone else. Yeah, I actually made a video about this specific problem. It was, I forget the name of the video, but maybe a month ago or 2 months ago, it was specifically talking about if you can speak well by yourself, but you have trouble speaking with others. And I talked about the specific problems that people have with that and how to solve those. So look for that video. I forget exactly what the title is, but it's something like that. But yeah, that's a common thing that people have issues with. So they feel confident talking with themselves. And the biggest issue or the biggest reason why people are often able to speak with themselves is because they can control the situation. So I can imagine talking to myself and someone else responding. I can control that whole situation. But when you're with someone else, suddenly you don't know what people are going to say. And this is the real problem, or not the problem, but the very tricky thing about learning a language, and especially learning to speak. So if you want to get to this point where you're learning to speak, rote repetition, like learning to play an instrument or something like that, is not going to get you fluent, because that's really just trying to get good at saying one thing or responding in one way. What you really need to do is prepare yourself for the unpredictable nature of real communication. So this just means if I'm learning to play an instrument like the piano or something, or the guitar, I can learn a song and take my time and comfortably practice it by myself. I'm repeating that thing again and again. But that kind of practice is different from what you need in a real conversation. Like if some friends of mine come to my house and they bring their own instruments and they say, hey, let's just make up some music together. And I don't know how to do that. So it's a different thing. So again, a teacher might teach me something in a classroom, but that's only like a very narrow band of what happens in real communication. So I'm trying to make this clear. You can go back and watch that video. But if you think about, if I draw, like this is not going to be a very good example, but imagine this is a rainbow here. What people learn in school is just one small part of that. So it's like they only learn one color. But in real communication, people might have a more casual or more professional way of speaking, or they might think like, I need to express myself in a different way or something like that. But it just depends on the situation. And so when you're in a classroom and you only know one way of responding to things, that's going to stop you in real communication. So you're just not prepared for all of this. You're only prepared for this one thing and not the full range of communication. Now, this doesn't mean you need to know every word, but it does mean you need to understand more examples and a broader range of real speech. So as an example, when I was learning Japanese many years ago, and I knew the word for foot, so like the foot, I draw a little foot over here. Not so, it kind of looks like an arm with an elbow, I guess, but this is supposed to be my foot. So if I draw a foot here, so the word for foot is ashi in Japanese, but if you're like a young baby, your parents might call that your anyo. And so when I heard that, I thought, oh wow, isn't that interesting? Like there's a way of pronouncing or a way of saying something, but then there's completely different vocabulary if you're speaking depending on the relationship or the context, okay? So this is the same thing in English. I should not have been surprised about that, but the tricky thing for people learning languages is they get into like a very narrow range of learning. So if you watch like YouTube videos about people teaching English, typically they will be like me, speaking clearly, speaking a bit more slowly, making sure you can understand, but that's only one part of the actual full range of communication you'll get. So some people are less clear, or they speak faster, or they have difficult accents that you're not used to. So if you want to be prepared for this, then you really need to get exposed to this wider range of real communication. All right, so that's kind of a longer answer to that. But again, when people are speaking to themselves, or you're talking in your head to yourself, you're only really doing this, most likely. It's your own voice. You can understand what you're saying to yourself, and you can control all that. But in real communication, people have a wider range of things they can say, and you don't know what they're going to use. All right, so you just have to be prepared. When I go out, talking to people who speak Japanese, I don't know what they're going to say. I can't control them. I can only control my preparation and then how I might respond to them. Okay, so hopefully people understand this. Like, it's a tricky thing for learning languages because I'm trying to be very clear. All right, so I want you to understand what the words are. If I say now or never or shit or get off the pot, I'm trying to intentionally say things more clearly so you can get the words, so you understand what I'm saying. But of course, you have to get exposure to a wider range, not just clear spoken English. You need to hear lots of different examples of this. All right, so it's a big world out there, like the real level communication, real world communication. So if you want to be prepared for that, you must expose yourself to that English. All right. So this is what we do in Fluent for Life, and whether you learn with me or not, if you want to get to this point, you have to eliminate the doubt, and you do that by exposing yourself to a wider range of things. So if you're only trying to speak to yourself, it's going to be more difficult to become fluent. Let's see, which one is correct? Someone is living in somewhere or lives in somewhere? Well, like if you're talking about like living in, I could live in Australia, or I could be living in Australia. Both of those are fine. It's not like one is correct and the other is not. It's just more, if you want to say like in general, just he lives there, or you're talking more about like the kind of action of him doing it, but there's no real difference in that. You can use either of those. All right, EVM says, I like the English language. How old is the English language? That I don't know, but you can ask Google. It's quite old, I think. Jack says, do you usually answer the questions you get? Not always, but sometimes. What do you think? Most of the time I answer the questions I get, if I have time. If I get like way too many. Volume is low because people are busy in entertainment. People should always try to learn something. Yes, I don't know why, but typically if I see 100 comments of people saying I can hear you, then I don't worry about it. But if everyone says, oh, actually, I can't understand what you're saying. I can't hear. If everybody says that, I know there's a problem with the microphone. But it's the same microphone I always use. It's the same settings. It should be fine. Ackland says, the Master of English is no doubt your ticket to understanding the world around, since English is universal. Drew, is that correct statement? Yes. Certainly. I mean, more people, English it's currently the universal language for the internet and international travel, often international business. And yeah, so for the time being, English is what you should be learning if you want to be able to communicate and have more opportunities and do all kinds of things, have travel easier or meet more people. So Apprendi says, good night, everyone. You would say good evening. Remember, good night is what you say before you go to sleep. So you say, if it's just nighttime there and you're greeting people in the evening, you would say good evening, good evening. Here, Andre from Brazil, but living in the USA, learning and watching this channel. Thank you, glad to hear it. Good morning here in New Delhi. Let's see here. And Leo again, hi, I just arrived here live. Let's see, Rilla says, I got your course and finished it, but I feel I have to repeat it again just to listen to you every time, just to remain my level stable. If I don't do that, I feel I'm losing my language. If you want to complement what you get from the program, I recommend looking for more examples of things. So like if you want to focus on a particular subject to go even deeper into that, that will lock the vocabulary deeper into your mind. So get more examples of things. That's the best way to do it. Just like whatever you're interested in, think about your natural interests and whatever you learn about in your native language, just do that in English. MI says your mic volume is low. You mean too low. Yeah, we would say the volume is low, which is correct. All right, let's see. Everybody just turn your own phone up or whatever you're using. But the microphone should be fine. Aglin says, the very first thing I noticed when I started watching your video was your clear diction. Yes, so I, again, try to speak correctly and clearly so people can understand. But remember, the language kind of gets worse. So people speak faster or they are less clear or whatever. So this is more like the first step for people who want to speak. You should understand things clearly so you know what people are talking about, and then it's much easier to understand the faster speech or the other examples. And then, well, Lewis is there, but looks like got some Portuguese, like take a dump in the bush or get off or what. Something like that. There you go. Yes, but that's the idea of like do something now or never. Like, please take your time, you know, and waste your time or whatever, or you should actually act now or you're not going to get the chance again. So if I have an opportunity or something, like I'm trying to get a job and the guy says, okay, we're looking for a person to start today. So can you take the job now or should we find someone else? Please choose now. It's now or never. So now or never. All right, in that case, like a job, probably a person hiring someone would probably not say shit or get off the pot. Shit or get off the pot it's a slightly different meaning where like you might be worried about something. So if I'm like, should I break up with my girlfriend or not? It's like, and like for a long time I've been complaining to my friend, I don't like my girlfriend very much. Should I break up with her or not? And I'm like writing lists or, you know, trying to think about things like that. What should I do? And my friend just gets angry at me, says, look, like shit or get off the pot. Just pick something and decide, you know, what you're gonna do. So do something. And then usually like they would say like, in that case, it's not like now or never. I could continue dating my girlfriend even if I don't like her. Whatever, but usually people would give you that advice. It's like, okay, it's time to make a decision about something. Deck, or maybe it was that December. It looks like I'm not going to live forever. That's right. What are the odds? I was sitting on my porcelain throne when you were talking about should I get off the pot, so I decided to get off the fence and not be a dog in the manger there. Very good, very good. Yes, Leo. By the way, could I use, let's see, fish or cut bait? Yes, that's another example of that. Yeah. So it's like do fish or cut bait is kind of a related example where you can imagine someone on a fishing boat and they're just not doing anything. They're not making some kind of choice. So it's like, hey, like, you know, be active or whatever, fish, like do some work over here or do some work over here, but you're just not doing anything right now. So it's similar, yes, but you can hear, like, when you learn these expressions, it's best to see them used in real context. So a native is having a conversation about something and they use that and you think, oh, that's interesting. People can say this expression in this situation, all right? And that's really the goal. So we go from zero understanding to having complete understanding, and that just means having no doubt about something as we understand it better. And so we get more examples. So it's not just hearing a teacher repeat something again and again, it's a variety of examples that prepare you for the real communication and the real variety of real life. So you've got like this rainbow example here. You can see we have a variety of things and it's unpredictable. So we don't know what people are going to say, all right? So we know there's a variety and people could pick something we don't really know. Like they could pick a situation and there could be different ways to express that. All right, so the more prepared you are for that, and again, as I mentioned before, the great news about this is you don't need to speak in order to do this. You just need to get more examples that really make you feel more confident and comfortable that you understand things. All right. All right, hopefully this makes sense. It looks like we're done with comments though. Looks like Leo is back speaking maybe Portuguese, I guess. But if no one has any further questions, we can shut it down. Look at that, we got a quick one today, but again, I just wanted to make a quick video and that way people can just watch something nice and short and get some good example, good understanding of why they might understand movies and TV shows or teachers or whatever, but they still struggle to speak. So if this is you and you continue to learn things and maybe you learn something to this level, but then you go to some new thing and learn it to this level and then some new thing and learn it to this level, a lot of people stay in a plateau of their learning. So they improve and then they level off like that, to level off. So another way of saying this is to plateau. So this kind of, it's like a flat top mountain. This is known as a plateau, So people improve and they feel better. Wow, I'm actually improving, I'm learning some more, but then wait a minute, I don't feel like I'm improving much. And usually the improving stops when you're not actually learning anything more. So when you just start repeating things, it's much better to spend your time getting more, like a wider variety of examples of things, hearing how someone, let's say someone is angry. So we just imagine a person being mad or angry or upset. You can pick a particular emotion and see what are the different ways that people might express that. And then from this different way, like how might different people pronounce that same thing differently? So a person says, I'm mad, like I'm really frustrated, I'm really, like you can see it in my face, I'm really angry about something. And someone might say it more quickly or less quickly, or they might have a different kind of pronunciation for it. So instead of just repeating something like the word mad or angry, we want to hear how natives express themselves when they are angry. So if I get hurt, you know, I like step on something or bang my elbow or something like that, I'm going to say ouch or damn or something like that. And so I'm connecting that situation with this vocabulary. All right, so as you see a bunch of people get hurt, then you would very clearly and very quickly understand what people might say in that situation. Okay, so if you're here, you can continue to learn more, and repetition is good. It helps you understand something, but you're going to get from here to here as you get that variation, that naturally varied review, where you're hearing many different people express things in different ways. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. But if nobody has any questions about that, looks like you guys are talking about pelotas or something. I'm from Pelota. Oh, that's the name of the city or something. Let's say Access is, actually this is the first time to hear the phrase shit or get off the pot. Nice, so there you go, yes. So people often get excited about learning new vocabulary, but I'm suggesting go further with that. So that's my recommendation for this video. The big mistake people make is to learn something and then stop, okay? The big mistake people make is to learn something and then stop before they've really eliminated all the doubt. All right, so they understand something, they can recognize it when they hear natives saying it or they hear it in a movie or something, but they still have doubts or worries or fears about maybe, is this the right word for the situation, or am I expressing something correctly? Is my pronunciation correct, or whatever? Okay, so that's the basic idea for this. So when you're learning new things, if you feel doubt, let the doubt be your guide. I'll just write this up here for people. Let the doubt be your. Let the doubt be your guide. So when people say, what should I learn next? What do you feel doubt about? What would you like to talk about, but you can't because you don't know how to express it? So for me, when I'm thinking about something, usually my problem begins with some situation or something I have to talk about. Like today I need to go to the gas station. How do I say, please fill up my gas tank or whatever? Or I only need a certain amount of gas, or I need to change my tires, or whatever the problem is. So if that's the issue I have, I don't need to learn English about all these other things over here. I just need to focus on that thing and then get a bunch of examples of that. So I would probably go to YouTube and look like, how do I talk about, pumping gas or whatever. But it wouldn't be a YouTube English lesson. I don't know if someone has made a lesson about that or not, but I would probably find something where it's just people like getting gas, like some YouTube video about people getting gas at a gas station, all right, for whatever reason. So that's an example of something I might like. I might get more examples of how people would do that. So the Japanese version, it's the same thing. So if I'm nervous about a situation, or I'm just unsure, I don't really know what I would say because some new thing has happened in my life, like I need to get a new job, or I need to do something like, I've told the story before about when my wife was pregnant with our daughter, so our older daughter and then our younger daughter. She took me to the hospital and I had to learn vocabulary about going to the hospital. Until that point, I did not know lots of expressions about women, reproductive stuff, or going to the hospital for women, or delivering babies, that kind of thing. But I learned a lot of that by listening to other people in the hospital and talking to the different doctors and all of that. So it taught me the vocabulary I needed, and I got lots of naturally varied reviews so I could understand things. So a nurse would say one thing, and a different nurse, they might say something similar, or even the same thing, but they would pronounce it differently because each person has a unique voice. So it's not me just going to a textbook and saying like, how do you deliver a baby? It's what do people do in that situation? I really want to make this point clear because, again, the purpose of communication is to be prepared to actually interact with someone about a particular situation. So if I learn something from a textbook, it's giving me one example of how I might say something. So if I go into a conversation, I'm expecting people to follow that. Hello, how are you? I'm fine, thank you. Like most people don't, nobody ever says that to me. So if I meet like a friend of mine, let's say like a few nights ago, I went to visit a friend of mine. We went for a walk just in the neighborhood. And what's the first thing he says? It's just like, hey, how you been? So like as a very simple example, so we connect the situation. So the situation is, I'll just put situation in. I can't write and think at the same time. S-I-T-U, S-I-T-U-A-T-I-O-N. So the situation is casual greeting, casual greeting. And there are many ways that we might express this. So here are some different ways we might express a casual greeting. So my friend, like in an English textbook, it might be like, how are you? And then the response to that is, oh, I'm fine, thank you, or whatever, or I'm okay, or I'm happy, or whatever. So this is in a textbook, but it's only one way of expressing for this situation. All right, so remember, natives are not learning one way to say something in a particular way like in a textbook. They're being prepared for the variety of real communication. That's the whole point. It's not just to like, and see, this is what I'm gonna start getting angry now, because for 20 years I've experienced this of telling people like, look, you can understand movies, but you can't speak well because you have doubt about what you know. So you should get more examples of that so you feel more confident about saying it. All right, that's the basic idea. So here in a casual situation, how are you? Nice and clear. You can see it written in the textbook. The teacher speaks it very clearly. But then, like a friend of mine, he says like, how you been? So he actually said this to me. How you been? How you been? So ya is like the casual form, the quick form of you. You wouldn't write this down, but when we're speaking, we understand. He would not say like, hello, Drew, how have you been? How have you been? So he could say, how have you been? How have you been? Oh, like, and I could say, oh, I have been fine. I could express it like that. But he's actually picking this one here. How you been? And the reason he's picking that is because it's nice and fast and easy to say, and everybody knows what I'm talking about. How you been? All right? But again, this is just one way of people doing this. Now, I have met people for years and years, and even if I don't speak, I'm still going to hear lots of different variation in these casual greetings like that. So someone else might say, what's new? What's new? Or how's the family? Or just how's life? Okay, and again, like I could have a whole list of things where people might say that. But the point is not even to remember a whole list of things like that. It's just to expose yourself to the variety of real communication so that you are prepared when you are in that situation. Okay, so this is what natives say in this situation. So these are things you could say as well. That's the basic idea. All right, so to get from here to here, just learn a lot of textbook phrases and things. You can watch some teachers on YouTube and they'll explain lots of things to you. But if you want to get from here to here, you're going to need variety and that exposure with real natives. Okay? So this is what we do in Fluent for Life, getting you from here to here, taking the people who already know a lot of English, so all the teaching we do is in English, but we move you from here to here, eliminating the doubt that stops you from speaking and preparing you for real communication. All right, let me see if there's any final questions or comments. Looks like people learning a lot about Brazil over here. Brazil. I'd like to come to Brazil at some point. Let's see, Agnes says, awesome, never thought about let doubt as my guide. Yes, so let doubt be your guide. If you're nervous about something, use the nervousness. That, like the nervousness it's kind of telling you what to do next. Like, I have a job interview. I feel nervous about the job interview. Well, then you should probably prepare for the job interview. That's what the nervousness is telling you. You should listen to that. So if you have to speak about something, like you get a new job or, whatever, or you have to now, something has changed in your life, like you moved to a new place or you want to try a new restaurant and you're curious like how to talk about things or whatever, then prepare yourself for that. And right now it's never been easier to be prepared for that, because for pretty much any situation, I could go to YouTube and just look up examples of how people might speak in different situations. Ruben, I see there from Bulgaria. Let's see. Everyone says, been to Brazil twice. Oh, you guys are speaking with each other. Let's see. Miriam says, Drew, your method blows my mind. Never thought about this way to learn English. Yeah, I'm glad to hear it. Again, click the like button if you would like to like the video and then share that with other people. It also tells YouTube, hey, more people should maybe watch this. But yes, it's really the same things you've been doing to get fluent in your native language. So when you learn new things, your mother says something, your father says something, you're hearing all these different examples from people. And it's the same way like when I got fluent. So in the book that I'm working on right now, I talk about how I went to a Japanese cafe and just listened to different people ordering food. So the situation is ordering food. What do people say in that situation? Okay, so I might hear lots of different things, or some people might express them in different ways, or they might say, I don't know, like try to order something different, whatever the thing is. But I'm hearing all of that variety, and that's preparing me for real communication much better than just getting one example from a teacher and thinking, okay, I'm fine, thank you, how are you? Like just getting something from a textbook like that. There's a lot of ambulances today. It's actually a national holiday here in Japan, so I'm surprised we have more like going on over here in the city. But yes, so like the method I'm trying to recommend is like the practice that you need should reflect the situation that you're in. So real communication, there's a wide variety of speech, and you don't know what people are going to say. So you should be prepared for that, and you will feel more prepared and more confident, and you will have less doubt. You will be more excited to speak. All of these good things happen, and you don't need to speak to do these things. You just need to get exposed to lots more examples, okay? So either you're doing this by yourself and you're figuring it out on your own, or this is what we do when we help people in Fluent for Life. Let's see, and this is what I would say. A friend says howdy. Yep, you can say howdy. So that's another expression. What's you? What's you? Well, you would say what's new. What's new? So what's new? So like what's new in your life, or what's new, what's going on, what's different, what's new. So people are always interested in what's new with your life. Another friend says, what's up? That's right. Honey says, hi, my name is Honey. How can I become C1 from B1? And I have another problem. I'm very bad at writing and spelling. Also, I have a stock of words, but I cannot write or spell them. Thanks. Number one, I would click on the link in the description under this video to get Frederick. If you want to learn how to pronounce words and spell them correctly and write them correctly, Frederick will teach you how to do that. And it will teach you step by step. And then what I've been talking about in this video is the other process of moving from the various levels, like what people would call these levels, like A1 or B2 or ZX or Y70 or whatever, all of that stuff. The point is, if you want to go from understanding to actual communication, you need to get rid of the doubt. That's it. So if you do that, just focus on a particular thing, feel more confident about expressing that, and that's what's going to let you speak. Sometimes I'd hear people say, what's cooking? Yep, you might hear that too. What's cooking? And even instead of what's cooking, it's like what's cooking. They take the G off of that, and it's a little apostrophe at the end. So cooking. What's cooking? What's cooking? So what's up? What's going on? What's going down? What's up? People will say like what's up and what's going down. Like both of those are happy, or like people might use all of that. All right. It looks like people are talking about the capital of Brazil over there, so I will leave you guys to do that. But hopefully people get the idea. The basic idea again is if we want to go from zero, so not understanding anything, it could be new vocabulary. Or being able to speak in a new situation or to talk about something new. First, you have to just understand that. And so it's great to get like a teacher like me, like, you know, people explaining things clearly. But you also need to get lots of examples of natives communicating if you want to be able to express yourself. You need to get that exposure to a wide range, like the full range of real communication. Not every word, but in general, like these are different ways people might express things. So if you hear a lot of variety of natives talking, that's going to get you fluent very quickly, okay? All right, Honey's got the idea over there. Let's see, Access says, what method can you suggest to teach my child English? Is it fine to talk with him in English even if I make some mistakes? Just have your child, I would watch content for kids with your child. Like in Japanese, I watch Okasan to Isho, which is just like with mother. That's the name of the show, or other shows for kids. So here's a show about, I don't know, like raising animals, or, you know, going outside, or talking about whatever. So if I'm doing that for that level, if you watch that content with your child, and you didn't say how old your child is, but the fastest way to do it is also to do it with your child. So that way you can be talking about things and making sure you're not making any mistakes, because the child will learn things from you, and they will actually start correcting you after a while if they can get a variety of lots of things. So 5 years old. So this is like the age of my younger daughter, Noelle. So 5 years old. So I watch content with her in English and Japanese also, and she can speak both English and Japanese. And also she plays Frederick. So if you click on the link in the description below this video, that's another game where your child can actually teach themselves the language themselves. So my children started playing with that when I think Aria was like 3 or something, when she started playing with Frederick, and now she's a much better reader. So she still spends most of her time in Japanese, like a Japanese environment. So she goes to Japanese school, and most of the family time is in Japanese. So I have to be very strategic about how I spend time with her. So if I only have half an hour to read her a story in the evening or something, you know, some days I have more time, but I have to be very clear about how I'm teaching her for both of my daughters and making sure they can learn well, even with a small amount of time. So anybody can do that, but the main things I would recommend is you doing it with your child, not only playing the app, but also like watching content with them that's supposed to be for their level. So you will learn a lot too. Even me watching shows for kids, I still learn a lot of Japanese that adults use. So don't think it's like, whoa, it's just for kids, I can't learn anything. It's kind of like Frederick. So the app that I'm talking about, again, click on the link in the description to get that. But the whole app has over 2,000 words and sentences in it. And there are many words that a lot of people watching this video would not know. So there would be a lot of new vocabulary, and it would teach you how to pronounce it correctly. All right, Ruben says, great stream, glad to hear it. Let's see, so what, I can't answer that one. So December, it's difficult for me to follow a group of people talking at the same time. I get lost and disinterested. Yeah, so again, if you watch groups of people in conversations, you will feel more confident that you can get into that and follow what they're saying. So natives will change the way they speak. This is called code switching, where they would speak one way to you, and then they would start speaking in a different way to other natives because they understand the context is different. So if I know another 40-year-old guy who's a native English speaker, I can speak with that person differently than I would speak with a learner who doesn't know much English. So it's both English, but it's a different kind of English. So you need to be prepared for that, and you don't need to speak with a bunch of people to do this, but you just need to watch and see a lot of other people doing this so you can be prepared, like, oh, look at that. In this situation, people say this, or in this situation, people use this other expression. So you learn all of that naturally and automatically, and you don't really get nervous because you don't have to say anything. You're just getting lots of examples. Let's see. Well, someone actually has the name Frederick. Look at that, awesome. You should get the app. It's named after you. Let's see, I will get the game, just learn about it. Yeah, so it's kind of like a game, but basically it's the highest level that I've found of learning, which is discovering things for yourself. So when someone else tells you something, you think, yeah, I guess you're not really listening to it. But when you discover something for yourself, you really remember that information well. So that's the whole point of that discovery learning, I call that. But when you're discovering things for yourself, that's, again, the way I try to teach is not to just give you translations or answers. I want to help you understand things so that way you connect those dots and you feel confident that you understood something because you will remember it much better that way. So Heidi says, so this Frederick, it's a website or what? I don't get it. How do I get there? Click on the link below this video. In the description, you will see a link for Frederick. It's an app that you can use on your mobile device like Android or iPhone, and it will let you teach yourself. So you can teach yourself, or children can teach themselves also. Teach you spelling, grammar, pronunciation, vocabulary, lots of things. But it helps you discover these things rather than a teacher just telling you them and then you forgetting them. Let's see, watch a children program called Bluey. Oh yeah, I think, isn't that like a dog? It's like a dog, cartoon dog. Louis says, does your daughter speak English and Japanese fluently like you, Drew? Well, I mean, their English is like, for their level, it's very good. So obviously they don't know a lot of the vocabulary I know, but like my older daughter now, we're reading a book about Greek myths. And so she's learning, new vocabulary and difficult things, and, her ability is improving. But for me, like I'm very happy with their level, especially because they only get a little bit of time in their day in English. So most of their day, and it's a lot like the people I help. So most of the people who learn with me, maybe they don't spend a lot of time in English during their day. So they need to be very strategic about getting examples. That's why like people join Fluent for Life, because they don't want to take the time to try to look for content and organize the content and try to understand everything. They just want all that done for them so they can improve faster. So that's what we do. And that's what I do for my children as well. So the same way I teach them is the same way I teach people in Fluent for Life. And so I can be very strategic and get people fluent faster in much less time than like traditional methods. And you don't have to spend a lot of time looking for content because it's already laid out for you. So no, they are not like, like obviously I'm an adult 40-year-old, native speaker, and they are little kids, but yes, like for their age, they can speak really well and they can understand what I'm talking about. So they're doing just fine. Let's see, Adnan says, why do I struggle to speak despite knowing a lot of English? All right, well, that's like a good wrap up for the video, that question. That goes back to this. So just as a recap for everyone or people who just came to the video late, the main idea for people who know a lot of English but still struggle to speak is they understand, but they still have doubts about vocabulary or grammar or whatever, and that's usually because they're not getting a broad enough exposure to native content. So they can learn something from a textbook or hear something from a clear teacher, like I'm explaining right now. I'm giving you some new vocabulary, or you're listening to me speak and you can understand what I'm saying, but you might still have doubts about pronunciation or whatever. And when you learn, it's kind of, I don't know the best way to explain it, but when you get only one example of something, you might try to sound exactly like me, maybe try to shadow my pronunciation or my way of speaking. But this way of speaking is not exactly how I would speak in a real situation. And also depending on who I'm speaking with. So I will speak differently to my dad or to my children or to a coworker, or if I'm in a professional situation, I'm going to speak differently in all of these things. But I know how to do those things because I've seen examples of other people doing it. All right? I don't just magically know how to communicate well. Like I get lots of examples of how other people do it. But if I only get one example, then I'm not going to be prepared for all of the other situations. Or if I only hear one clear teacher, then I'm not going to be prepared for all of the people who don't speak clearly. All right? So you need to spend more time with the vocabulary you already know, understanding things better and getting a much wider range of examples. That's what's going to get you up to these different levels of English. Okay? So I wouldn't I don't spend much time worrying about what level you're at. It's more about are you happy with the way you speak or not? Do you have doubt when you speak, or do you feel confident? So most of the people I help, they understand a lot of English, but they still have a lot of doubt, and they're often not prepared for real communication because there's such a wide range of the way people might speak, and they're just not prepared because real communication is unpredictable. So you have to prepare for the unpredictable in a different way than practicing an instrument like a piano or something like that. Okay? So if you know a lot of English but still struggle to speak, this is where you are, and you still have some kind of doubt that's stopping you from speaking. If you destroy the doubt, you will feel 100% confident about communicating, and we usually do that in you feel confident about particular words and phrases as you understand them, or grammar points or pronunciation, whatever. But as you do that, you will feel confident and you will actually feel yourself improving. Okay? So if you'd like to learn more, this is what we do in Fluent for Life. This is also what I recommend. Whether you join the program or not, this is the best way I have found to get people fluent. So if you get more examples and a strategic variety, what I call naturally varied review, so when you're getting lots of examples of different people saying the same thing, it really makes you understand the thing well. You remember it easily, you come to feel very confident about how the pronunciation works. All of these things happen naturally, even if you don't speak. So you can do this by yourself anywhere in the world. The point is just to get a wide variety of the real way people communicate, because that's the situation you're really preparing for. You're not preparing for how a teacher would say something in a classroom. You're preparing for how, oh no, what are people going to say in real life? So years ago, when I was just starting to learn Japanese, I would feel very nervous because I would not know what people are going to say. And I would think, oh no, what am I going to do if I can't understand them or if I can't respond? And of course, I have all these worries and doubts in my mind. So this is me. Like, I could understand some things, or if the teacher said something I could understand it, then that was okay. But when I'm getting to this point over here, now I can actually feel much better about using the language. All right. So even if I get into a new situation, I don't feel nervous about that because I'm prepared for different ways that I might respond. All right. So you get much better at that as you go through different examples, and that's how you do it. Lewis says, I don't know. It's hard to explain my level. I've been studying English for about 3 years, but I don't feel good yet. Lewis, I would always recommend you focus on a particular thing and not, like, if you generalize about your English level, like, well, I'm good or not that good, it's not really helpful for your progress, and it can actually be more demotivating because it's not specific enough. So you should pick something specifically. I want to be able to talk about this, or I want to communicate in this situation or this context. Can I go to a store and order some food? Or can I, whatever that thing is. I remember a student years ago, he was nervous about being able to order pizza. So he always had like his children order pizza for him on the phone because he was too nervous to talk on the phone. But as he improved, he felt confident because he understood the context. Oh, I should, hear some people ordering, like, how to order pizza, and like then I know how to do it. So it's a pretty simple thing, and you become fluent and confident about particular things like that. But as you do those for these specific things, that's obviously improving your overall ability to communicate. So if I learn how to order a pizza, I can probably learn how to order Chinese food, or I can learn how to order, whatever, like lots of different things like that. So it's pretty similar. Let's see, Adnan says, I can communicate in chunks. However, I'm not able to speak long durations. Perhaps I lack confidence. Yeah, it's usually, this is the basic idea. So if you can say things in pieces or chunks, as you were saying, but you can't have a continuous flow in your English, then like it's usually because of this. But I have videos talking about these specific things on the channel. You can learn more about that. So Liz says, I can understand a lot of things, and every day I intend to improve or learn something new. Yeah, so just focus on whatever that is. Pick a particular topic you would like to learn more about, or take the thing you're interested in your native language, whatever that is. Like, if your native language is Portuguese and you like learning about cars, then watch that content in English. You can probably find it. So the nice thing about learning English is I can find content about basically anything for learning in English. But if I'm trying to learn in Japanese or like Thai or some other language, it might be more difficult for me to find examples. But I can definitely find lots of them in English. So Leo says, I started studying English in May 2021. Well, looks like you've come a long way. Lots of knowledge for Leo over there. All right, well, hopefully everyone has enjoyed this video, but if you have, do click the like button and let YouTube know, hey, this is a helpful video and other people might enjoy it too. You can also click on the links in the description below this video to learn more about Frederick for improving your pronunciation and learning lots of things and actually discovering the language for yourself. It's great for not only adults, but kids as well, and also learn about Fluent for Life. Leo says, I have nobody to practice with. If you want, you could speak English sometime, Lewis. Yes, you all can speak with each other, but remember, you are going to get much more progress by seeing examples of other people talking. I promise you, you will. Give it a try. You will say, oh my goodness, look at that. You can say this in that situation. All right? So it's more difficult to try to coordinate time with people. Like if you want to meet people to speak with, you can, but I promise you, you're going to get a lot more improvement much faster simply by seeing lots of good ideas of or good examples of people talking. All right, so anybody out there, if you don't have anyone to talk with, that's not a problem. The point is to get lots of examples, so even if you don't speak, you can still improve. All right, have a fantastic day. We'll see you in the next video.